It was a night I will never forget. The moon hung low, casting a pale light over the village of Asaba. I remember the cries, the wails that echoed through the thick forest, reaching the hearts of everyone in the village. For that night marked the tragic end of a love that had blossomed in the shadows, a love that would change our community forever. I was a young man then, barely in my 20s, working as a farmer in the fields. The year was 1920, and our village was governed by ancient customs. The rules set by our ancestors dictated how we lived, whom we married, and how disputes were settled. Defying these customs was unthinkable, and love, the kind of love that defied tradition, was whispered about only in stories. It was within this strict world that Nkem and Oti were born. Nkem was the son of a noble family. His father, Chief Obianuju, was one of the village's most respected elders, a man of wealth and influence. Nkem grew up under the heavy burden of expectation. It was known that he would one day marry Chika, the daughter of another powerful chief. It was a union that would strengthen the bond between two great families, ensuring peace and prosperity for future generations. But Nkem's heart was not for sale, nor was it bound by the chains of family honor and politics. Oti, on the other hand, came from a different world. She was the daughter of a poor hunter. Her family lived on the edge of the forest, far from the chief's compound. Life had not been kind to her. She had grown up working alongside her mother in the field and collecting herbs from the forest to sell at the market. Yet, despite their humble existence, Oti was known throughout Asaba for her beauty, her kindness, and her grace. She had eyes that sparkled like the stars and a voice as soft as the evening breeze. The villagers spoke of her gentleness, but they also knew that due to her family status, she would never marry into nobility. But fate has its ways, paths crossing like the weaving of a fisherman's net, intricate and unpredictable. Nkem and Oti first met by the river, where women washed clothes and young men fetched water. I was there, sitting under the large mango tree, observing the daily life of the village when I noticed them. Their eyes met across the sparkling water, and in that brief glance, I saw something rare. It was not just curiosity, it was longing, a silent recognition that neither of them could explain. I knew then that trouble was brewing. Nkem was already betrothed to Chika. Days turned into weeks, and the river became their secret meeting place, hidden by tall grasses and the shade of the trees. They would sit and talk, their whispers mingling with the sounds of the forest. They spoke of their dreams, of what life could be if they were free from the chains of tradition. It was during one of these meetings that Nkem made a promise, a vow that would set their lives on an irreversible path. Oti, he whispered, holding her hand in his, I do not care about what the elders say. I love you, and I will find a way for us to be together. She looked at him, her heart pounding against the cage of her ribs. But how? She asked, fear and hope battling within her. You know they will never allow it. Your father, he would never let you marry someone like me. Then we shall defy them, Nkem replied, his voice filled with a determination that belied his youth. We shall prove that love is stronger than the rules of the ancestors. I will make them see. But deep down, Oti knew the risks. Love, as beautiful as it was, had no place in the rigid structures of their society. To love freely was to invite disaster. Yet, she found herself unable to deny the pull of her heart. And so, they continued their meetings, unaware that their love had already set off ripples that would soon become a storm. As their love grew, so did the danger surrounding it. The village was a place where secrets were as fragile as glass, easily shattered by the slightest whisper. It was not long before rumors of Nkem and Oti's meetings spread through Asaba like wildfire. The elders heard it, the market women gossiped about it, and Chika, Nkem's betrothed, felt the sting of betrayal like a knife to the heart. Chika was not just a chief's daughter, she was a woman of pride. She had always taken her future with Nkem for granted, believing their union to be a natural part of her destiny. But now, the villagers spoke of her with pity, some even with ridicule. Imagine, they whispered, losing Nkem's love to a mere hunter's daughter. Humiliated and furious, Chika decided to take matters into her own hands. Driven by jealousy, Chika approached the elders, telling them that Oti had bewitched Nkem with charms and potions. In Asaba, the accusation of witchcraft was serious, a direct affront to the gods and the rules of the ancestors. Those accused faced severe punishment, sometimes even death. The elders, who were already uneasy about the rumors, agreed to hold a council to address the matter. Chief Obianuju, Nkem's father, was incensed. To him, this love was not just an act of rebellion, it was an insult to his authority, a threat to the order of their community. You will end this foolishness at once, he thundered when he confronted his son. You are promised to Chika, and you will marry her as tradition demands. Oti is nothing but a hunter's daughter, not fit to walk in the shadow of our family. Nkem stood his ground, though fear crept into his heart. I will not marry Chika, he declared, his voice shaking slightly. I love Oti, and she is the one I will marry, whether you approve or not. Chief Obianuju's hand came down hard, striking Nkem across the face. You are a disgrace, he spat. You would bring shame to this family, to our ancestors. For the sake of a woman of lowly birth, the council was called. The village square was filled with people, their faces a mixture of curiosity and unease. At the center stood Oti, her hands bound with ropes, while the elders, wrapped in their ceremonial robes, sat in a half-circle before her. I stood among the crowd, my heart heavy with fear for what was about to unfold. Chika stepped forward, her voice dripping with venom as she accused Oti of witchcraft. She bewitched him, she declared, her eyes gleaming. She used charms to turn his heart away from his betrothed. If we allow this, the ancestors will surely curse us all. The elders murmured among themselves, their faces stern. The lauded elder, Okonkwo, raised his hand for silence. Oti, daughter of Ugochukwu, he began, his voice carrying the weight of tradition. You stand accused of bewitching Nkem, the son of Chief Obianuju. What do you have to say in your defense? Oti, she said calmly, her voice steady as the river that had borne witness to their love. I have used no charms, no potions. I have only love in my heart. It is not I who have bewitched, but he who has chosen to love freely. The crowd gasped. To speak of love in this way, openly and without shame, was bold. Nkem stepped forward, standing beside her. His father glared, but he did not falter. I choose her, Nkem declared, and if you deem her guilty, then I am guilty too, for my heart belongs to her. Chief Obianuju, his face twisted with rage, could no longer contain his fury. Then you both shall be punished, he roared. The rules of our ancestors will not be broken by the whims of a foolish boy. The elders, swayed by the chief's words and Chika's deceit, decreed that Nkem and Oti would be banished to the forest. The forest was a place feared by all, said to be haunted by spirits and filled with dangers. To be sent there was to be sentenced to death. Yet Nkem and Oti accepted their fate, clinging to each other in silent defiance. On the day of their banishment, Nkem and Oti stood at the edge of the village, their hands clasped together. I watched from a distance, unable to look away from the sight. The villagers had gathered, their faces a mix of fear, pity, and resignation. To be banished to the forest was not just a punishment, it was a sentence of death. The forest was believed to be the domain of spirits, its depths filled with dangers that no one could survive. Nkem held his head high, though I could see the flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. Oti, on the other hand, seemed calm, a quiet strength radiating from her as she faced the villagers one last time. I felt a pang of sadness as I looked at her. She was willing to embrace whatever fate lay ahead for the sake of a love that defied the rules of our ancestors. The forest will claim them, someone whispered behind me. They will not return.